Hello everyone, my name is Plywood and this is going to be a tutorial for the All Bosses speedrun for Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PlayStation. And just to begin, if you are playing this game on a PS2 and you want to speedrun it, I would suggest going to the PlayStation driver, going to options and changing it to fast disk speed. I'm not going to do that for this tutorial, just for visual clarity. What this does is it speeds up load time, speeds up the game a little bit, but it does have the effect of causing visual issues. In particular, certain textures will disappear randomly or flash. So, just wanted to mention that before we get going. There's a lot of different versions of this game. You have the original CD-ROM. I have the greatest hits version for the North American release. There is the PC integral release. There is also the Japanese regular and integral release. And if you're running this game, the best version to run is the Japanese integral release. There's a few reasons why. Integral allows you to skip a cutscene later on in the game that's about 2.5 minutes long that you can't skip in the version I'm playing. Additionally, by playing in Japanese, the text you have to mash through at the codec calls is less. Thus you'd have to mash less, which is another little time save. That's just because of, the differences between the English alphabet and Japanese characters. Now you'll see I'm running up here. You could decide to kill that guard, but I'll show you the no-kill strat here until he walks over there. Knock. We'll walk around this forklift and move forward. So, there's a few things that you need to know before going into this game in terms of movement. D-pad and analog stick are both useful movement options in this game. Analog allows you to move a full 360 degrees on the console version. And again, I will be referring entirely to console because All Bosses on PC is an entirely different beast. And there will be moments in the game where you will want to use analog, particularly the catwalk later. And there's a few places I like to do it because I'm used to it from PC, using analog. And the analog in PC is actually worse than console. It doesn't have full 360 degree movement. So you'll see right here, I'm going to knock when the elevator itself, like that little lip, the floor itself of the elevator, is in line with the pouch on Snake's abdomen, okay? Right here. The guard will get distracted, and I'm going to walk onto the elevator, and we're good to go. Hold X to skip the cutscene. Whenever a cutscene happens, you want to hold X, and you'll skip it as quickly as possible. Now later on, when you're skipping certain cutscenes, if you hold X for too long, what will happen is you'll start crouching the moment you get out of the cutscene. So you have to sort of know the time of how long you need to hold the X button. If you start hearing like audio from the game and not just dead silence, then you know you're you're good to let go of X. A note about mashing, because on console, unlike PC you don't have to mash to skip codec calls. Actually, I'll since this is done extemporaneously, I'll leave that for a second. So this helipad's actually pretty important. You can choose to take it safe and pick up those chaff grenades on the helipad stealthily, then go over there into that little room and pick up stun grenades. I choose not to, so I'm going to just run onto the helipad and pick up the chaff grenades. In addition, what you can do here is, after you pick up the chaff grenades, equip them and then get killed, exit, and then restart the run. And what this will do is, when you pick up the chaff grenades on the next run, you can just press R1 to equip them. You don't have to go in the inventory screen. It's a very minor optimization, but it's something to keep in mind. But I'm just going to run and pick up the chaff. So, what I just did there, to throw the guard, I unequipped my chaff, pressed square, and then once the animation started happening of the throw, I pressed R1 again to re-equip the chaff. This cancels the animation of the throw after you started it. And hence you do a quick throw and you get to move more quickly. So back to my note on mashing. The way I mash is I use my left index finger, because I'm left-handed. Left index finger, and use my thumb about close to my knuckle on the other side, not like the top side of my hand, the bottom side, the palm side, to give it a little bit of stability. Sort of like peck it with my index finger. And the thumb is just there to give some support to the index finger. And that's how I do it. I don't know if there's necessarily a right or wrong way to mash, but there's better and worse ways to mash. You gotta know how to do it if you really want to play this game on console. These elevators are random, so pay attention when you press the button the first time. If you hear the elevator start arriving, you don't need to press the button again. You had a good elevator. If you don't hear it arriving, just press it again, it will immediately arrive. It's just something you do not have any control over. Another note before we continue on, I am playing on easy because it's the fastest difficulty. However, I will try to make notes throughout the run of what changes happen between the difficulties. I've speedrun every difficulty except extreme on console for this category, so I have a decent grasp of the differences, and there are some pretty significant ones. Essentially, the harder the difficulty, the more time bosses will take, and the more damage you'll take, the fewer rations you can carry, and the less health you gain from beating a boss. Or I suppose regain from the boss. So pick up the SOCOM. This is the hardest part of the guard encounter, is trying not to get hurt there. Picking up the SOCOM as quickly as possible.
I'm telling you,
On easy, each of those guards take 3 shots. I believe on hard it takes 4. Stand over here. in the corner. It's the best way to get a good vantage of when they come in. See, I'm already out of SOCOM ammo. I'm not really managing my ammo very well. But Meryl can help you if you run out of bullets. Depending on when you kill the guard that replaces them will change its timing, if that makes sense. So, if you kill each guard one after the other, then the next wave of guards will come in one after the other. If you kill them all roughly at the same time, the next wave of guards will come in all roughly at the same time. You can mash X or circle to advance a codec call. Important to note, you don't have to just mash your X button. You can choose circle or alternate as well. So we're going to run in here, pick up the C4 because we need it. And I'm going to just show the safety route. In here is SOCOM ammo, in case you're out of ammo and you don't want to pick it up during the Ocelot fight. Now you'll notice that when I lay the C4 down, I'm pressing R1 twice, kind of similar to the quick throw. When I hear the click, I know I can do that, and it just speeds up the animation of Snake standing up. Just watch this. See how slowly he like stands up? I have no control right there. But if you press R1 after the click twice, you'll advance it a little bit. So this fight, it's pretty simple on easy, but you know, as the difficulties go on, Ocelot gets faster and of course takes more damage to defeat. Or your bullets do less damage, depending on how you think of it. So you can just immediately start running at him, but I like doing this little setup where I pay attention to his dialogue. And what we're going to be doing, we're going to be exploiting how he thinks by running in a circle after we shoot him every time, so he'll take a shot at us rather than start running away. If you're standing next to him, he'll start running away from you, and you don't want that. You want him to basically stand still, so you just keep on shooting him. And it's important to hold both square and X, so you can have your gun up and ready to fire and continue to run, rather than standing still, which would be just holding square. So remember to hold square and X here. A little bit rusty, but that doesn't mean I can't dispense that valuable information to you guys. Alright, so now that he started saying that, I run forward. Being a bit mean today. There, you see the circle I'm making? Now, of course, on the hard difficulties, he's going to take more shots, and he will run more quickly. But you saw how I made sort of like a ovular shape after I shot him, and just keep on doing that. If he had stun grenades, you could actually use them against Ocelot. You will get stunned by it. Just as a side note. So here's the first armory movement. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to pick up all these grenades. You don't need all of them, but just for the purposes of the tutorial, I'll pick them all up. Run in here. Now notice that when I stand up, it's wherever Snake's feet are. It's going to be really important in a very short period of time, because we're going to skip having to call Meryl and the laser hallway on the first floor. by going out of bounds. And this is very easy to do. Anyone can do this, trust me. This is probably the easiest trick to do in this game. Go over to this vent. It can really be any vent, or any surface you can crawl under. You can do this. So, line up yourself with the wall, and then go into the vent. Now I'm just going to show you how far you can go before you're in the vent. See? So if you're like this, this is not going to work. You need to be still in third person view. And pay attention to how far Snake is into the vent. About halfway, 45% or so will do. Hold triangle to go into first person view. Then hold up. You're going to release up and triangle at the same time, and then press X. Like so. If I don't fail. There we go. Like I said, I'm a little bit out of practice. We will use that excuse very frequently. But we just run up here. You gotta make sure to run to the right. I know I just kind of ran through that, but you saw how I like arced around in the out of bounds before I went to the hallway. There's that room with the guard sleeping in it. If you run straight forward, you'll hit an invisible wall, so you have to curve around. So there's two things you can do here. You can take it safe by running over here and then run straight past this rock. And there's also a different route you can take where you run forward and then through the mine. Let's see if I can get it. I almost got it. I was a little bit too close to the edge. But that tire tread I'm trying to walk through, that's much more the line. This tire tread, that darkened tire tread, is your angle you're trying to hit. If you go too far up, you'll hit a mine. If you go too far down, you'll also hit a mine. It just saves a couple of seconds because you don't have to go left immediately. Alright, so it's time for the tank, folks. Definitely a gatekeeper for all bosses. Moving about that line. Hug the wall. I'm gonna run towards the tank. Sort of run towards the middle of the tank so you can throw it in. So my positioning here is very exact. I'm between that last tire and the second to last tire, angled towards the hole. This is very important. This position right here should enable you to throw the next grenade in immediately once the second gunner says, "See how you like this." And this is the fast tank fight.
See how you like this.
I'm mashing square, and it sinks in just like that. If you don't get that setup, you're gonna have to chase the tank around, and the tank is faster than Snake, so and throwing the grenade in without that setup can be a bit of a challenge. But that setup works. Sometimes the tank will just be a little bit disagreeable to begin with in the fight. But that setup is pretty consistent. You angle yourself towards the tank, or towards like the porthole or whatever, between those tires, and you'll hit it. So that's the risky strat for that guard. This is one of the more dangerous rooms in the game, that room, because if you miss that throw, or if you get discovered by that guy, the room will get closed in and gas will fill in, and you're pretty much guaranteed to die. I'll show the safe strat later on. This movement right here is very important, so pay attention. We're gonna run to the Nikita. See, I might not get this because I screwed up the door. Pick up the stun grenades and run out. The harder the difficulty, the less margin you have because the guard's vision is improved. I use analog there because I just find it easier to move around when picking up that stuff. On console, you're going to want to use the Nikita in third person because it reduces some of the lag, I believe, compared to first person. On PC, you don't really have that problem, but on console you do. And I'm not so good at doing third person, I'm not terribly used to it, but let's see. Oh man. Thankfully on easy, your O2 is pretty forgiving, so even if you screw up the first time, you can still get the missile. By the way, if you're holding angle towards the little electric generator, make sure to hold upright, because if you let go, it'll like reset to one of the cardinal directions. I took out SOCOM because we're going to need it for the ninja fight. Another note. Snake moves faster when he holds the following weapons: SOCOM, chaff grenade, stun grenade, and grenades. He also moves a little bit faster when holding a FAMAS, but those four things, the stun grenade, chaff grenade, regular grenades, and SOCOM, are what you're going to be holding to get the greatest speed boost.
Now, make me feel it. Make me feel alive.
Hold up left to run straight at him, punch him, do the combo. Run over there, because he always jumps right over here.
Hand to hand, it is the basis of all combat. Only a fool trusts his life to a weapon.
So, it's very important here that you unequip your SOCOM. The reason is Gray Fox is not kidding. He doesn't like it if you try to hold a weapon against him. You'll see an exclamation point above his head and he'll start running away. So, unequip your SOCOM so he will actually fight you hand to hand. And you can follow his movements. Like so. When he does that, move away. Sort of make a U shape to follow him back. Now, of course, on the hard difficulties, you're going to have to do that a little bit longer, and that phase lasts longer. Hide and seek. This is random where he lands. He may land right next to you. There's a few different spots. I see he landed right behind me, which is very nice. Look in first person, it helps you see where he is. I believe he's by that locker. Yep. The harder the difficulty, the shorter the amount of time he'll stay hiding and then start looking for you to give you the pain train. This is the final phase. That punch has a very large hitbox, so be very cautious with it. I want him to start trying the punch, and then I move away. Again, be very cautious with that punch he throws at you, because it is big. Big and powerful. With the SOCOM, I'm going to go over here and pick this up. On the other difficulties, you're going to have to do it a little bit more and he'll do more dialogue, but on easy, as long as you get your combos throughout the fight, that's where the fight should end. He shouldn't say his line about bone and sinew and all that crap. Once the bubble disappears, shoot him. Run over here to shoot through the window. And that's Gray Fox. So, after this codec and cutscene sequence is over, I will show where all the hiding spots are for Gray Fox. There isn't a lot of them, thankfully, but it is random, so you may get preferential treatment from Gray Fox, and sometimes he'll just treat you poorly and keep on showing up on the opposite side of the lab. You don't have a lot of control over that, obviously. Just have to make do. You can also use chaff grenades in that fight. It'll stun him, but it is pretty slow, because you can do one combo on him, and then he'll sort of stay stunned, and you can't hurt him for the duration of the chaff grenade. So, just a side note. Right, so this spot, right about here, this spot, over here, over here, over here, and I think that's it. I don't think there's a spot right here. So that is 5 spots. 5-sided die. If I am forgetting one, I do apologize. But again, hold triangle so you can look in first person to see where he's falling. It's a lot more effective than trying to figure out where he is blindly. You can also listen in on the stereo to see where exactly he's falling. So run in here to pick up these stun grenades. Those are important. Now we are heading towards Psychomantis. I'm going to run in here to pick up this box. The box is going to help us out in the caves.
Don't move. Okay, let's go. I know this place better than you. I'll be point man. Follow me.
She thinks she's point man, but we know what we're doing.
That's strange. There's no guard.
What happened to the music?
I'll keep a lookout. Make sure you're ready, okay?
Alright, so we will be using stun grenades for the very beginning of this fight. As long as I actually equip them, not chaff. At least I caught myself before I made that mistake.
Come on, Mr. Foxhound. The commander is waiting.
So for this fight, actually I'll show this movement off. Go to about right here. The door will close. Then tap forward to about right there. That's good. And then Meryl will stand still and you don't have to have her run back to that position to start this cutscene. Throw the stun grenade. Now you can choose to either have a second controller connected or switch them all right here. Usually I have a second controller connected, but this time I went for the swap instead. Press triangle to see where he's standing. I'm not quite positioned properly. Look at that. Look at those whiffs. You want to stand over here because the chairs will not hit you from this angle. So I'm going to just show off his attacks and how to dodge them. Let's see, the bus stand either in the back or the front. This pottery you can duck. It will not hit you. So you can shoot him. Or go prone. What's next? Ah, this. So I think you can... Yeah, you can crouch under this as well. The taxidermy. Those don't... None of them fly straight to the wall, but you gotta be careful with all those attacks. You can just sort of like weave in between it, but... Hello. I'm whiffing very hard. But again, I would have already went to the next phase at this point. I just wanted to show off his attacks for educational purposes.
Why couldn't I read your mind?
Same thing again. Gonna throw our stun grenades.
You are powerful indeed, but I know your weak point.
He supposedly knows our weak point.
Right where he can see you and blow your brains out. Stop, Meryl!
And throw another stun grenades. Gonna swap to SOCOM here. That'll save me some menuing later. And I'm just gonna finish the fight with SOCOM. Oops. Watch Plywood miss all his shots. Now he's gonna basically throw everything but the kitchen sink at us. Just every attack he can do. So you want to finish that last little bit as quickly as possible. That way, you're at less of a threat. But again, all those attacks, besides the chairs, obviously, you can just crouch underneath. So this is where you would swap to. Swap your controller port out or swap to the other controller. You can also do it right after you finish Mantis very quickly. The best thing to do though is just to have two controllers connected.
Snake, you follow me.
So we're not really going to follow Meryl per se, we're going to do what we did earlier with the vent. Now this is optional. This doesn't save a whole lot of time. It saves a little bit of time. This requires a little bit more practice than the vent glitch we did earlier to skip the laser hallway. So, again, put yourself on the wall. Crawl underneath. This is good. You don't want to go too far. The further you go, and then you start going underneath. You don't want to do that. Just want to get your feet underneath the cropping. Do the same thing. Look up and press triangle. There you go. So now you're on this outer cropping. This little rock. What we're going to do, remember that box we picked up? That wall right here is not really a real wall. If we use the box, we can sort of shift through the wall. Just kind of like wiggle your stick past that point. Now we're out of bounds. You can see. It looks like he's inside, but he isn't. So hold up. Hold right. There's a wall there as well. You just kind of have to figure out your way around the outside of the map. The way they built these games is... The way they built these games, all the scenery, the area, the map you're in is in a larger area as well. The out of bounds area, the black void.
Since we can't use the mine
So,
detector either,
Leave it to me.
we can exploit that fact that the map is actually larger than the play area. The intended play area. And not have to deal with the dogs right there. Now Meryl's gonna show us her wonderful footprint artwork. I think it's pretty good. But I'm gonna one-up her.
So, what do you think? Pretty good, huh?
how did you know where the mines were?
It sounds weird, but when Mantis dove into my mind, I was able to see where the mines were placed. Are you impressed?
Well, a little bit.
Only a little?
We're just gonna run straight forward. Oh, I failed to mention earlier, again, since this is off the cuff, when I was talking about versions of this game, you can also play this game on the PlayStation Network. There's actually a lot of different mediums to play this game. I'm gonna use a stun grenade here, if I can crawl. This might not actually work because I screwed up that crawl. Unfortunately, I kind of messed that up, but what you're trying to do there is throw a stun grenade, start crawling, and then the dogs will be stunned and you can just run past them. Thankfully, the dog did not punish me for that, but you gotta be careful there. So you can play this game on PSP, PlayStation TV, PlayStation Vita, PS1, PS2, PS3. If you don't want to import a Japanese PS2 and a Japanese copy of Integral, you can also buy the Integral version off the Japanese PlayStation Store. Alternatively. Oops. So we're doing the backtrack mission to get the PSG-1. This is one of the harder parts of the game because, oops, the movement in the canyon, the armory movement is a bit challenging as well, potentially. And then you have Wolf as well. So what we're gonna pay attention to here, there's a different line you can take as well, but this is the line I take since it's pretty safe. We're gonna pay attention to the snowdrift right here. So this is where this is really important that you pay attention to your movement. You need to stand in the middle of the snowdrift, roughly. Like, you need to take a few steps to the right so you can run in between the claymores that are in the canyon. If you're a little bit too much to the left, you'll get blown up. If you're a little bit too much to the right, you'll also get blown up. I like to tap my D-pad here to make that adjustment. See, I'm a little bit too much to the right. This is good. You can kind of see the line in the snow, the polygonal line. You want to stand in the middle of this lane. And that just sort of comes with practice. And knowing how much is too much. And how little is too little. This is another spot that can be very challenging if you choose to take a more risky approach. So, to begin, I'll show the safe approach here. We're gonna throw this guard, wait for this guy to move. I'm gonna choke him out. And same thing with choking, you can cancel the end of the choke by swapping back to your grenade. See that beautiful movement? It's fine, because I wanted to die anyways. I'm not kidding, because I want to show the other approach for this. If you're unsure where the lasers are, or you're like me and you just are a fool and you make mistakes, you can equip your cigarettes to see where they are. So we throw this guy, knock here. I kind of screwed it up, but the idea you're trying to do there, the idea of what you're doing is throw the guard around the corner before he sees you, which is challenging, but it saves like a couple seconds. And then you just go into the PSG-1 room and pick it up. Like that. Like this. You don't have to pick up this ammo, but I like to. And then just run out of the room. Try not to be too slow in there, or else that guard can see you when you exit the room and run out the right side. But yeah, that's a very good spot to make a save. To practice quick throwing, because you need to quick throw the first guard and then potentially quick throw the second guard if you choose to go for the ninja throw, as I like to call it. Throw a chaff grenade so this turret won't shoot me. You can take your chances. The turret won't always hit you, but it's nice to stack the deck in your favor if you can, which you certainly can on easy. Another thing about the easier the difficulty is, the faster the respawn rate on item boxes. So on easy, the moment you leave an area and come back in, it spawns back in. See how these chaff are here? On extreme, they never respawn. Out of realism. Okay, so I'm gonna show just the safe approach here. I'm just gonna sort of stalk this guard. There we had a good luck elevator. If you don't feel really confident in your quick throw there, that's a good idea. Because the thing about the quick throw and throwing guards in general, if you're not like essentially flush with their back, they can see you as you throw them. So you need to be careful about what angle you do the throw. Another good place to practice quick throws is just the first area, the tutorial area at the dock. I'm going to do it again. And you want to do that as quickly as possible, because the window is pretty small for this. See, I'm actually way off. You want to hold up right here. Man, I got way off. Okay, so, and pay attention to the audio cue here. you kind of hold up right, or sorry, down right after you get past that ammo box, just like a half second later, something like that. So this fight, analog moves the scope faster than D-pad. D-pad is much more for smaller adjustments. This fight is a little bit random because she can choose to hide a lot more or a lot less. See, she's just ripping me to shreds right now. Good thing to note, you can shift your weight back and forth like this. The reason to do this is when she tries to take a shot at you, she'll miss. This is more important on hard and extreme. See how she missed? Now you can use diazepam to man, she is out to kill me. You can use diazepam to reduce the sway of the PSG-1. But what I do is I unequip and re-equip the PSG-1, and that resets the stutter. Because the longer you stay, see, it starts and it gets worse and worse and worse. Just sort of, see, that movement, that's not me, I'm not moving at all. If you want to pick up diazepam, there is some in the cave. Like there's a cave you can crawl into. The little area you crawl under to get to this door, or the door leading to this area that we just fought Wolf in. Instead of going east there to go through that and crawl under that, you go south, and there's a cave that has diazepam PSG-1 ammo in it. So if we were doing large skips, the other category in this game, this is where we would meet up, pretty much.
You win.
It goes straight to the torture sequence.
Had enough.
If you're interested in that category on console, I would suggest looking for Jaguar King's Big Boss Extreme tutorial for large skips. Even if you're not playing on Big Boss Extreme, you can still get some very valuable information from it. In fact, while we're at it, I want to do several shout-outs because the efforts and the improvements that have been made to this game were not done by me. Hope you didn't get that impression. It was a group effort by a bunch of different people. MGS Slade, The Thrillness, I believe his name is Magnum. I'm being a little bit forgetful. All found out some neat glitches and skips and strategies for this game, among others that I'm probably forgetting. But thank you to everyone in the Metal Gear Solid speedrunning community for all the efforts we've put into this game. This is the worst codec call in the game for all bosses. It's shortened for large skips. And I'll tell you where the point is that the call would end for large skips. Right here, the call would end. This is where your mashing skills are tested. Because they talk about the backstory between Metal Gear 2, I guess primarily Metal Gear 2, and Metal Gear 1 as well. I like to switch to my right thumb if my index finger gets tired. Snakes in the spin dryer. Snake spins inhumanly fast, but that's why we like him.
Oh, my stomach! Oh, damn it!
So that was the same thing we did with the vent and the cave. Get on this bed, which you're not supposed to. Now we're sleeping on the bed. And if you do that, I believe Johnny does say, "What the hell are you doing?" It's funny to me. So stand right here.
Hey, I'm here.
Because he's here, right in front of us.
Oh, jeez. He's coming back. See you later.
Wait.
Get your legs between, or outside the door. Drop the ketchup by pressing circle. And you're gonna stand up and choke him. Choke him dead. That is the fastest way to deal with Johnny. The fastest way is unfortunately by killing him and breaking the chronology. Or the chronology. Combined canon and chronology. The canon of this game. Johnny is not supposed to die, but we don't care about canon. We're trying to save the world as quickly as possible. So now we mosey our way back to the tower. If you're interested in speedrunning all bosses, you're just gonna have to appreciate the backtracking you have to do. I actually think all bosses is really fun. There's an added challenge in the first half of the game, and the first 25 minutes or so are, you know, really everything up to Wolf 1 is very fast. Like, people sometimes get surprised with how quickly you can just blaze through this game. Already start fighting Gray Fox at like minute 15. Well, if I didn't mention, the reason why I'm swapping my chaff grenade there is to silence my footsteps. If you do that rapidly, your footsteps will be silenced. Which will become important later when we hit disc 2. By the way, it's another little thing. Equipping the chaff grenades is the only way you can run. It's the only weapon you can equip in the first floor of the nuclear warhead storage building. Another reason to have chaff equipped rather than anything else. See if I can get this proper this time. And when the audio phases out, that's when I know, okay, I need to start pressing down and right to hit the door. I guess I might have wanted to show you guys the non-out-of-bounds movement. I do apologize. It's not very complicated, though. In fact, you do it for large skips because you never bother picking up the box. It's not worth it. Alright, so the Tower A climb. This is challenging. I'm not going to make any bones about it. This is one of the harder parts to learn. We're going to time our stun grenade throw so we can skip a cutscene where the guards come and chase us, and we activate the alert that way. What this also does is that it improves the guard positioning on the tower. It makes it a little bit easier for us. So start cooking right now. Throw. Pick up the stun grenades and the rope. You need both. I like to use analog here for climbing the stairs. At number 5, I throw a stun grenade. You can't skip throwing that one, though. You can just try to quick throw this guy that I just stunned. Throw it here as well. I might have been a little bit late. Alright, we're good. Now, I will quick throw these guards as well, because I actually want... Oops, I messed it up. This is where your quick throw skills are really tested. I want to have extra stun grenades for the catwalk. This guard is going to come up, try to hit us in the face. Throw the stun grenade as late as possible. He shot me right before I threw him. It's better if they shoot you than if they punch you, because if they punch you, you get knocked to the ground. It's okay if you take damage here, because you automatically get all your health back before the rappel sequence. So don't worry about the damage. Unless you get really close, then of course, you know, use a ration. If you're into that sort of thing. Having health. That's up to you. I'm not going to tell you how to play your game. Besides giving you these tips. With the rope. If you don't have the rope, you're going to have to climb all the way back down to go get it. Repelling. This just really takes a lot of practice. Just pay attention to how I'm moving here. This is one route. This is the route I use for is easy because you're not really at a huge risk of dying here. Immediately start holding down and pressing X there so you can jump. Now I'm gonna run diagonal here, jump, and start running diagonal. Hold down and right, down left, down right to jump. Something like that. Again, I don't have a whole lot of tips. Just practice it. All you can do. Just try to get better at it. Okay, so I'm gonna ration up here. There's two options for this. The safe way or the insane way, which is what most runners do. There's 3 guards at the end of this catwalk. What you can do, you can either put your PSG-1, kill that guy with, I think it's like 3 shots. It's either 2 or 3 shots, and then kill the other guy. Run forward to about that pillar, just before that pillar. Drop down and kill the guy who you didn't kill, because he's gonna run left to hide from your sniper rifle, then run back. That's the safe approach. Here's the risky approach. You need at least 2 stun grenades. I like to come here with 3 because sometimes I screw this up. I do this movement with analog. I'm just gonna try it and pay attention to my movement. And when I throw the stun grenade as well. I'm gonna listen to the music. Once the music starts, I'm gonna throw. See, I screwed it up. Pretty tight. How to not get shot there. Thankfully, I had just enough that I could run forward, keep on going. The idea is you're going to throw a stun grenade, then hold upright. Oops. And then they're going to shoot at you, and then you're going to go up left, and they're going to shoot at you, and they're going to miss both waves. And you don't get knocked to the ground like I did, and then you keep on moving forward. Then once the fade out starts happening on the stun grenade, you throw another one. They get stunned again, and then you just run past them. Again, requires a lot of practice. Even though I've played this game numerous times, I still screw it up. That's why I always bring an extra stun grenade, because yeah, I don't like getting stuck there. You'll just get pushed all the way back, and it sucks. Excuse me. Once you hear that ambience, you know you're good to let go of X. Oh, just an important note about the order of the weapons. There is actually an order to this. SOCOM, FAMAS, grenades, Nikita, Stinger, C4, stun grenade, chaff, and then PSG-1. So SOCOM is 1, FAMAS is 2, grenade is 3, Nikita is 4, Stinger is 5, C4 is 7, 6 would be claymore, 8 is stun grenade, and 9 is chaff. Plus, if you're holding a certain weapon, and you're like, okay, I need to swap to this weapon. I threw that a little bit too late. Say I have a SOCOM, and I need to swap to the chaff. I'm gonna go to the left. And then I'm gonna be able to, not have to scroll through the whole inventory. Inventory management is another one of those things that can lose you time. So be careful about it. Get used to how to scroll quickly. All that fun stuff. By the way, there's chaff over there, more stinger, and then ration. Just in case you need it. I just pick up those 2 stinger boxes and then I'm on my way. To behind the... This fight is all about, for the first part, knowing where to stand. You gotta take a stand at the right places. On extreme, you can only hit the propeller. You can't hit, like, the top, or the far left or the far right of the hind. Only the middle. Since it's easy... Oops. Yeah, the stinger does not fly very far if it has to curve. Since it's easy, I take a tank strat this fight. I don't really care if I get hurt. See, I kind of screwed this up because I got a little bit bonked. But that's roughly the movement you want to do. Pick up the stinger ammo while we're waiting. Hide behind this. knock if you're a Kraden like me. Now I'm gonna run over to him. So, pay attention. Oops, I got shot by him. Pay attention to when he starts firing. To know when to shoot the next stinger. Depending on how close he's flying to, you're gonna shoot earlier or later. Because, you know, travel distance. It's just a little bit of mental math you want to do here. And you want to juggle him because if you don't juggle him, he can fly below the building. And when he flies below the building, you can't hurt him. Oops. That wasn't what I was trying to do. Gosh, I hope I actually get this in time. Okay, we're fine. Though on Extreme, I'm pretty sure you have to stand behind that box. But if you're staying in that corner on easy, it's fine. The reason why I emptied my stinger there is because I want to have 5 stinger missiles for what's coming up in Wolf 2. You can actually stand just on that northern edge of the ladder. You don't have to like go to where you're supposed to climb down the ladder or descend the ladder, if that makes sense. You can be on the not the lengthwise part of it, the widthwise part of the rectangle to descend the ladder. But yeah, if Liquid flies low, it's a big problem because you have to wait until he pops back up to fire at him. There is like a very tiny window where you can shoot a missile at him before he flies low. It's not huge though, and of course it's more or less a consolation prize because he'll fly low, and I believe he stays there longer the easier the difficulty is, so it's more costly on the lower difficulties. And there is a strat where you throw and choke these guards, but FAMAS is definitely easier. It's the strat I use.
Huh?
Even though it seems like you would hold right there, you hold left to go to the elevator buttons. Oh yeah, so I didn't even mention this, but there's just so much going on in this game. Whenever you're get a codec call, you're gonna want to press select, and that'll start the codec call earlier when the beep beep starts. Some of them it doesn't work that way, but a lot of them do. So you see, I'm pretty much just trying to juggle them with my FAMAS. The best is if they're all in the corner and they just come up one after the other. Not a whole lot to explain about that, just, you know, sort of do a fan pattern. You don't have to pick up that PSG-1 ammo if you pick up the one in the catwalk, but again, I'm just doing it for safety. Alright, last time I tried to do a take of this tutorial, the game froze right when I entered the snowfield, so I got a little bit nervous there. So here's Wolf 2. I think it can be a bit easier than Wolf 1, but can still be frustrating. We're going to be using stingers here, You can also use Nikita, like hide behind that wall over there, and shoot Nikita missiles at her. It's safe, but it's slow. Now, so you want to line yourself up with the PSG-1, and then when you stand, you can unequip the PSG-1, stand up, and the Stinger is lined up. Whenever she's hiding, you want to use the Stinger. You can also shoot her while she's moving across the field, but you have to sort of time your shot right, because you know, you have to sort of lead the shot, if that makes sense. So I'm going to only use 3 Stingers here. See, I almost got her. It was very close. The last 2 I'm going to save. I didn't know she was hiding behind. I should have realized, though. The Stinger's also just really useful to seeing where she's moving, because of the box is tracking her. The reason why I'm saving those Stinger missiles is because I want to use them coming up. You don't have to do this strategy. It's not a requirement. But there's 2 different approaches for the blast furnace. I'm just going to take the damage because it's not a big deal on easy. If you're on hard or extreme, though, you probably want to throw a chaff there. Swap the discs. I would suggest having your jewel case open just to speed this up. Of course, I'm not, you know, in a serious speedrun here. Quote unquote serious. Okay. The 2 approaches for this blast furnace. I'm actually going to make a save here just in case things do end up going awry and the game crashes on me or something. Yes. So, what we're going to do here, I'm going to show you one strat, which involves blowing up the crane. This crane is random. How it moves is random. I fire the Stinger in the back so the guard doesn't notice it. Start crawling. You gotta be careful with this guard over here. He can notice you if you're too slow or things don't go your way, because he does come up here to investigate the noise. And if you're on extreme and you try to crawl past here, that guard will see you and he'll shoot you down. So I'm just gonna fall here just to show the other approach. But as you saw, I fired the Stingers the moment I had the area loaded in, and the crane got blown up. Here's the other approach. But yeah, on extreme you need to kill that guard before you crawl past. So what's random about this crane is when it moves and how far it moves. See, I can't stand up right now. My shoulder is being blocked. See, this is actually a pretty good crane. Look at that movement. Sometimes it'll just move like inch by inch and just troll you. So see, I can't stand up right now. But I wanted to show you both ways. Make sure you're holding left so you're always on the wall. This is where I'm going to quick swap to silence my footsteps. then hold down, hold back up. The reason you do this is that the elevator, if you just stand there, the elevator slowly comes up to you. But if you do this, the elevator is just here. Oops. Not really properly lined up with the keypad. This is difficult. No other way to put it. It's difficult. You have two options here. You can choke this guy out, or throw him over the edge, or punch kick him over the edge. I'm gonna try and throw him over the edge. You don't want to shoot these guys. They're tanks. They just do not care how much damage you put out. So it's easier and faster just to throw them or kick them over or whatever. Or choke them to death. See, my movement was a little bit off, but you saw what I was doing there. Oops, I was trying to choke him out, not throw him. Again, another place that just requires a lot of practice. But yeah, you can punch, kick him over the edge, you can throw him over the edge, or you can choke him. Those are your options. I would suggest not trying to shoot them down, because they just do not care about bullets. Just do not care. Vulcan Raven. So this is an interesting fight between the difficulties. Depending on the difficulty, his starting position is different. On easy and extreme, he starts in the same spot. On normal, he starts on the far right, and on hard, he pretty much starts just a little bit northeast of you. Depending on where he starts, to do this stun lock you do on him, it changes. You have to fire at a certain spot, modify things a little bit. Here I'll show you the easy/extreme positioning. You want to do the stun lock. It saves a lot of time, and it isn't too bad to do on console because the lag helps you out. It makes it a little bit easier because what you're doing here is basically making it so he keeps on firing and he's constantly in alert, which means well, you'll see. Oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Alright, backup strats. Oh god, I don't think he's quite around the corner. Okay. This is a bit awkward, but this should still work. Oh god. The backup strats! So even if you screw it up like I did, you can still make do. You get the idea of what we're doing, I hope. It's kind of self-explanatory. Fire it so that he'll see the missile as quickly as possible. He'll try to shoot at it. He won't shoot it down. With the first missile, though, he can't shoot it down because you haven't gotten him into that like alert stun lock state yet. It's all in the timing, baby. That's all I can say. Without getting into a whole lot of detail. The tutorial is already very long. Heck, at this point, I could just say defer to other guides, because, yeah, now everything is... This is where everyone meets up, regardless if you're doing large skips or all bosses. The rest of the game is the same. Pick up these stinger missiles. If you don't have any extras, you need them. Okay, you can use grenades or C4. I'd advise against it, but you can. For the rat coming up. So again, I press select there to start the call as quickly as possible. You can actually hit the codec call the exact frame the call, like the beep starts. It's pretty cool. But if you do it just a frame earlier, you're just gonna open up the codec menu. Oh, a note about timing in this game. So, we go off the in-game timer, which for console means certain load times don't count towards the timer in-game that you get out the score screen at the very end. So, you'll notice that the real time and in-game time tends to have a difference because of load times and the rest. Make sure you're on the left side here and quick swap past this guard. When he hits you, he does actually do damage, but on easy it's not a big deal. I'll show the hard and extreme strat. The non-ridiculous one. The ridiculous one is where you actually throw that guard quietly by sneaking up on him, but I've never been able to get it.
Can you see?
I didn't hold X, as you can tell. Sometimes that guard will hit you. Sometimes you get lucky and sometimes you don't. Like with this rat coming up. This rat is another big element of randomness in the run. The rat is carrying the key card, the PAL key. You need it to beat the game. So, you're gonna have to kill this rat. There's 3 different holes this rat can show up at. And so there's that dice roll. And then when he decides to come out of a hole is also a dice roll. He could take 30 seconds, or he could immediately come out of a hole right now. You gotta be really careful about your aim, because it's easy to miss. We did not get perfect rat. There he is. Okay, so I'm gonna run over here, jog on over, and I'm gonna fire right about there. Again, the missile explosion only has so much range, so you gotta be cautious. All I can say is, make sure your aim is true, and remember that once the missile starts flying, the rat notices it, so you need to make sure the timing is so that you hit the missile and he doesn't run back into the hole, or you're, way off because he's already run past the point of the explosion or hasn't gotten there yet. It's kind of like the hind D, but at a instead of a helicopter, it's a mouse that we're dealing with. After that, really becomes a bit self-explanatory, the rest of this, until Rex. So after I put this card in, I'm actually going to take a quick break, pause, Make sure to unequip the card there, or else you can put the card in the blue laptop, and you don't want to do that. This laptop right here. See how he just tries to put it in? So you want to make sure you unequip the card when you approach, or else that'll happen when you have that cutscene. Now we're in Cold Storage Room, as I like to call it, where we fought Raven. This is where we're gonna freeze the card. It takes 1 minute and 1 second to freeze or warm the key. You can use an audio cue by the music to tell when you need to leave. Alternatively, you can just check if the card is frozen or warmed or not. Sort of inch my way forward a little bit, so I'm close to the edge. The audio cue here is a particular stringed instrument note. So pay attention to the music here, or if you have a timer, pay attention to 1 minute and 1 second passing. After this, hear that note? There you go. And now for the heating of the key. The timer starts once you hear, the door, you see Snake on the screen. I'm gonna go over here just to show some stuff you can choose to pick up. Finger missiles, chaff grenades, and body armor. In case you're interested in any of that, that's where it is. What you're paying attention to here is a certain high-pitched note. That right there is your cue. The cue changes a little bit because I went through those loading zones. Should be good. Yep. So now I'm going to show you the way to not get damaged here by this guard. This is more applicable to when you're doing hard and extreme. Start quick swapping. I'm gonna pay attention to when he starts moving, and then just sort of sneak by him. Now that we're done with all the backtracking, get back to more vocal guide stuff. Vocal tutorials. So, immediately after this codec call is done, press select, mash select, so you can open up the codec menu to call Otacon. Two down. Get to the door. Pay attention to the O2 gauge. That's how I cue myself in when this call is supposed to happen. You can also pay attention to the music as well. I'm not actually going to use the body armor, I just wanted to demonstrate that it was there. So for easy, Rex 1 is a little bit different. What you do on Rex 1 for easy is you're going to throw your chaff grenades, and that will stun Rex and you just shoot your stingers at the radome. As far as I can tell, it's only applicable to easy. You can do this. You can run over here, pick up this. Start throwing once I hear Rex start standing up. Switch to stinger. I pay attention to the explosion as my visual cue here to shoot again. There you go.
Now, in front of you, I can finally die. After Zanzibar, I was taken from the battle, neither truly alive nor truly dead. An undying shadow in a world of light. But soon it will finally end.
So, on easy and normal, you can do a tank strat here and just tank the damage with the rations and stand completely still. Make sure you're standing still with the stinger equipped, and that way you won't get pushed away when the missiles fly. I'll just show you a little bit of that, and then I'm going to show you how to just do it the other way when you're not using the tank strat. This is all about adjustments. Being able to adjust well. Now, he has 3 attacks. He has a laser. Actually, 4 attacks. He can stomp you. He has a laser. And then he has the missiles. You kind of want to move in. Kind of curve your way away from the laser. Run in when he fires the missiles. Fire again. So you sort of run in, run out, run in, run out. It's kind of like you make an ellipse or an oval. And you can fire a missile at each end of that oval. So this is the cutscene that you cannot skip if you don't have Integral. And Integral was released in Japan for PlayStation 1. It's also on the PlayStation Network Store, or the PC version.
A world where
You can skip this cutscene.
honored as we once were. As we should be, that was Big Boss's fantasy. It was his dying wish. When he was young, during the Cold War, the world needed men like us. We were valued then. We were desired. But things, are different now. With all the liars and hypocrites running the world, war isn't what it used to be. We're losing our place in a world that no longer needs us. A world that now spurns our very existence. You should know that as well as I do. After I launch this weapon and get our $1 billion, we'll be able to bring chaos and honor back to this world gone soft. Conflict will breed conflict, new hatred will arise. Then, we'll steadily expand our sphere of influence. But as long as there are people, there will always be war. But the problem is balance. Father knew what type of a balance was best. Is that beyond reason? Isn't it reason enough for warriors such as us? I don't want that kind of world. Ha! You lie! So why are you here then? Why do you continue to follow your orders while your superiors betray you? Why did you come here? Well, I'll tell you then. You enjoy all the killing. That's why. What? Are you denying it? Haven't you already killed most of my comrades? That was... I watched your face when you did it. It was filled with the joy of battle. You're wrong. There's a killer inside you. You don't have to deny it. We were created to be that way. Created?
Thanks to
So, this fight, I'm not going to get super detailed about it. If you watch Jaguar King's tutorial, he goes into great detail about this fight. I would suggest, though, to mute your game for yourself, because it does help with the setup for this infinite. There's two different setups to this infinite. You can either immediately throw liquid and then try to start punching him there, or you can try this setup.
You could enjoy one brief
I believe Jaguar King created.
before the end. If you cross this line, you fall. At this height,
And
it will kill
it's
even you.
this is the rhythm. You can hear that. So we'll see if I can do
How
this.
about you, Snake?
Bro. And about right here, look. Bro. Ah, see, he slid away. I was trying to throw you, buddy. Not try to choke you. Duck whenever he does that, move.
What's wrong, Snake? Nice shot!
The liquid can start sliding past you, and that's where you can get into trouble. You want to try to get him in the corners, because that's where you can just keep on sustaining the punch over and over and over again. Otherwise, just do your best to avoid getting hit by him. And remember to duck if he tries to do that kick. Like, once he dodges my attack, he's gonna go for that kick. So, that's something to be aware of. Oops. Yeah, I'm trying to drag this guard over to the... Oh, they didn't let me do it, but usually what I do, I drag him over here, keep on choking him. This is a disaster, but that's fine. You can either drag that guard over there, or you can choke him by the front of the Jeep, drop him, then get in the Jeep and roll him over. Be in first person for this escape because it helps a lot. Don't try aiming in third person, it's not very easy. Put your gun about right there, like in between the S and the T on the ground. They take 4 shots on easy, 5 on normal, 6 on hard, and 7 on extreme. These guards. And the amount of damage that liquid takes here is also increased with the difficulties. So on easy, he takes the least amount of bullets for each phase, and on extreme, he takes more. You want to sort of fan your way towards him after his iframes are gone. And you don't want to do this. Don't follow his car. Oh, I can't show it now. I'll show it off next. But you don't want to follow him with your gun. Or otherwise he's going to keep on swerving and you can't shoot him. I missed a shot there, actually. Alright, like this. Don't do this. You want to, like, connect with him after his invincibility frames are gone. Aim for his arm. Like that. And the escape will take longer if you're on a harder difficulty. On easy, it's not too bad. On extreme, you gotta know how to aim. And how the phases of the fight go. So a note about this codec call. It's the last codec call in the game. When, when Naomi comes up, she'll start crying. She bobs her head once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5, and then 6, and then start mashing again. Hold X. And then factoid comes up. So you're not actually done on console here. Once the credits roll, the music plays. Once the credits come to a conclusion, there's one last cutscene where you want to hold X to skip. It's a cutscene where Naomi talks about how you should live and not let your genes rule you, etc., etc. And there's like a little FMV of dog mushing. So you want to hold X once the credits are done. That's the last input you need to do. After that, it is simply waiting for the score screen to come up with your time. So thank you all for watching. I hope this tutorial was informative. If you have questions, feel free to ask me. I'll try to answer the best of my ability. But I'll let the credits roll out. And I think I'm just going to cut off my voice now. So thank you all for watching. I hope this helps people and maybe gets you to try out this game. Thanks, guys.
You mustn't allow yourself to be chained to fate, to be ruled by your genes. Humans can choose the type of life they want to live. The important thing is that you choose life, and then live.
Yes, sir. The entire unit was wiped out. Those 2 are still alive. The Vector? Yes, sir. Fox die should become activated soon. Right on schedule. Yes, sir. I recovered all of Rex's dummy warhead data. No, sir. My cover is intact. Nobody knows who I really am. Yes, the DARPA chief knew my identity, but he's been disposed of. Yes. Thank you. Goodbye, Mr. President.